Good morning, dear friends, especially our dear Busconians and our dear Salesian educators. And of course, in a special way, among the Busconians, I greet my students in DB 100, St. John Bosco in the Preventive System. While I was preparing your lesson, for the third module, I chanced upon these photos that we had last year. Because right at this day, that's July 9 of last year, there was a group of us and we were in Baldoco. And not only in Baldoco, but particularly that day of July 9, we went to the place of Don Bosco, Colle Don Bosco, which was a few kilometers away from Turin. I was together with the group who professed as Salesians in 1993, 1994, and 1995. Actually, there was nobody left in the batch of 94. So we were about 5 who would go to these places to celebrate our Silver Jubilee. And together with me were Father Ding Cortez and Father Mon Borja, who were my classmates in the novitiate. And the 3 of us are from the north. And then from batch 95, we have our provincial Father Jerry Martin and Father Jose Dindo Bitug. Father Dindo is assigned in Don Bosco, Makati. And among the many pictures that I took, I was browsing through them, this one struck me, the one that is in your screen. And you would read there, it's Camera del Sogno. And that is translated as the room of the dream. And in Italian, you would see the words, the inscription outside. Era la camera dei ragazzi. Tra queste 4 mura si svolse il mistero di una grande chiamata, la gioia di una grande risposta. Or, what you read there on the screen is the English translation. It was the boys' room. Among these 4 walls, the mystery of a great call, the joy of a great answer took place. One of the first things that we tell our lay mission partners, our Busconians, is the dream that Don Bosco had when he was 9 years old. And of course, somebody who's a member of the Salesian family would always know this. It's part of God's revelation to Don Bosco, revealing to him his dream, his mission throughout his life. And in fact, Don Bosco wrote a biography entitled Memoirs of the Oratory that spanned the years from when he was young. And the second chapter is all about that dream. I'd like to take this opportunity to narrate to you, dear friends, this dream. Something very familiar to most of you, but once in a while it would be good to refresh ourselves with the dream. And I'll do it with the words of Don Bosco from his autobiography. A dream. It was at that age, in parentheses, no, that's about 9 years old, it was at that age that I had a dream. All my life, this remained deeply impressed on my mind. In this dream, I seemed to be near my home in a fairly large yard. A crowd of children were playing there. Some were laughing, some were playing games, and quite a few were swearing. When I heard these evil words, I jumped immediately amongst them and tried to stop them by using my words and my fists. At that moment, a dignified man appeared, a nobly dressed adult. He wore a white cloak, and his face shone so that I could not look directly at him. He called me by name, told me to take charge of these children, and added these words. You will have to win these friends of yours, not by blows, but by gentleness and love, starting right away to teach them the ugliness of sin and the value of virtue. Confused and frightened, I replied that I was a poor, ignorant child. I was unable to talk to those youngsters about religion. At that moment, the kids stopped their fighting, shouting and swearing. They gathered round the man who was speaking. Hardly knowing what I was saying, I said, "Who are you ordering me to do the impossible?" Precisely because it seems impossible to you, you must make it possible through obedience and the acquisition of knowledge. Where, by what means can I acquire knowledge? I will give you a teacher. Under her guidance you will become, or you can become wise. Without her, all wisdom is foolishness. But who are you that speak so? I am the son of the woman whom your mother has taught you to greet 3 times a day. My mother tells me not to mix with people I don't know unless I have her permission. So tell me your name. Ask my mother what my name is. At that moment, I saw a lady of stately appearance standing beside him. She was wearing a mantle that sparkled all over, as though covered with bright stars. Seeing from my questions and answers that I was more confused than ever, she beckoned me to approach her. She took me kindly by the hand and said, "Look." Glancing round, I realized that the youngsters had all apparently run away. A large number of goats, dogs, cats, bears, and other animals had taken their place. This is the field of your work. Make yourself humble, strong, and energetic. And what you will see happening to these animals in a moment is what you must do for my children. I looked around again, and where before I had seen wild animals, I now saw gentle lambs. They were all jumping and bleating as if to welcome that man and lady. At that point, still dreaming, I began crying. I begged the lady to speak so that I could understand her, because I did not know what all this could mean. She then placed her hand on my head and said, "In good time, you will understand everything." With that, a noise woke me up and everything disappeared. I was totally bewildered. My hands seemed to be sore from the blows I had given, and my face hurt from those I had received. The memory of the man and the lady, and the things said and heard, so occupied my mind that I could not get any more sleep that night. I wasted no time in telling all about my dream. I spoke first to my brothers, who laughed at the whole thing, and then to my mother and grandmother. Each one gave his own interpretation. My brother Joseph said, "You're going to become a keeper of goats, sheep, and other animals." My mother commented, "Who knows, but you may become a priest." Anthony merely grunted, "Perhaps you'll become a robber chief." But my grandmother, though she could not read or write, knew enough theology and made the final judgment, saying, "Pay no attention to dreams." I agreed with my grandmother. However, I was unable to cast that dream out of my mind. The things I should have to say later will give some meaning to all of this. I kept quiet about these things, and my relatives paid little attention to them. But when I went to Rome in 1858 to speak to the Pope about the Salesian congregation, he asked me to tell him everything that had even the suggestion of the supernatural about it. It was only then, for the first time, that I said anything about this dream, which I had when I was 9 or 10 years old. The Pope ordered me to write out the dream in all its detail and to leave it as an encouragement to the sons of that congregation whose formation was the reason for that visit to Rome. There's one whole chapter of the Memoirs of the Oratory all about the dream. And I just would like to emphasize that, God has revealed himself to St. John Bosco at that young age. And we know that that dream was the call of God for Don Bosco, for the young John Bosco. And that's what we have read a while ago. It happened in that room. He dreamed in that room, which you see in the screen. And among these 4 walls, the mystery of a great call. But that's just the first part, the mystery of the great call from God. The second part is the joy of a great answer took place. Don Bosco answered God's call, and because of that, we are here. Because of that, we are happy to be part of that dream of St. John Bosco. Have a good day, dear friends. God bless you.